Three. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us in the presentation of the academic paper, Strategizing Education Amid Crisis, a case study on transforming higher education during the COVID-19 pandemic. I am here with my colleague, Michelle. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Michelle Llado-Wrzos. I started collaborating with Christo on this case study about what NJIT went through during COVID and how we were able to manage continuing education for our students in spite of the fact that we should be online during the pandemic.
Great. And as a context, I am Dr. Cristo Leon. I'm the Director of Research of the Jordan Hu College of Science and Liberal Arts. And Michelle works also in one of our departments, which is the math department. So I always felt that it was important to go back to a reflection, even in 2024, because the pandemic was just not 2019, right? It was a couple of years. And it's really important to really go back to reflect on basically what we learned. What are the things that we can learn in case this happen again, like knock on wood? But I felt it was really important for us to start having this conversation, also to help Michelle reflect on this study case, but to start disseminating the best practices that we understood. Just for context, NJIT is a polytechnic research institution in the state of New Jersey in the United States. And we are a really unique institution because we're really focused on basically helping the education system go from a lower tier to a higher tier. And we are being really successful at that. But as all we know, when COVID came, everything was totally different. Like everything was disrupted. Everything was really strong. We will start this conversation with a brief introduction and background on where were we when Michelle started working on the case. So Michelle, if you can please tell us, what was the beginning?
Okay. When we found out that we should be locked down, I'm still the manager of the math department. So we have classes of calculus, which definitely it has to be face to face. But because we face this pandemic, we have to convert all our classes to online. So we work closely with our digital office who provided us with digital camera. We started using Canvas and we started everyone should have a WebEx sign on so everyone can use WebEx. And us as a staff, we also started working from home. So these are the things that we became a normal now, but we have to go through and make sure that our students are not interrupted with their courses during pandemic.
Mm-hmm. And just to give the number, how many classes or how many students are we talking about? One class, 10 students? What was the volume?
In one class, we have about 35 students, and we have about 150 classes that we have to convert into online.
Correct. So
And
that is why I
yes,
think this study case is important, right? Because it is a big volume of both courses, which involve a lot of different faculty, and they're different levels. Like there's some classes that are easier than others. Some of them are more applied. Some of them are more like theoretical. So this department is a really beautiful example of like both a breadth of a lot of different classes, but also a depth of like some classes like calculus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of a sudden need to be aligned. And everything is now like 4 faculty working together, right?
Yes,
So,
yes.
So the main objective of the study for us was just to examine how this study, basically how NJIT navigated through all of these issues, right? We all went into these ones, but we feel that it's important that from our perspective as a polytechnic institution, we did have certain advantages when it comes to the technology, the leadership, the structure that we have, because our leadership in NJIT had already started working on a digital transformation even before the pandemic. That was separate from us. We have the one president that was with a vision to start preparing us for that, and then a vice provost on FADIDIC that also started going into a convergence research and trying different modes of education. So in a sense, we were a little bit better positioned than other universities around the area to tackle this challenge. When we start working on this study case, I felt it was important to do a literature review to move into a basic readings, which that's going to be the second part of our paper. We identified there a series of resources that are fundamental for anyone that want to understand these approaches. So we have the Handbook of Good Communication. We have a practical guide to strategic planning in higher education. We identified a couple of articles that we invite you to review. All of these are seminal books from Frey, Karen Hinton, etc. And in the article, we don't do the full literature review, systematic literature review and findings, but we're just basically giving you these readings. But that allowed us to have a better understanding, not only of where we were before, but also Michelle found out on other resources that were actually more contemporary, like also like what we learned from that experience, right? And this started leading us the conversation or our discussions into the question of, well, in a nutshell, what we can say was the impact of the pandemic on higher education. So, Michelle, what do you feel were like the stronger impact for us?
Well, our strongest impact is we need to be continuing in education regardless of the pandemic. So that's what I think the university did to not to interrupt the students' educational, like they won't be delayed in their graduation because of the pandemic. And we have all the resources technologically to help all our students to still learn during the semester and fully understand the curriculum of what they are into during the pandemic.
Yeah, and in the article, we'll actually discuss the two main sections because we're a STEM institution, right? So there are certain specifics for us because we have laboratories, right? But there's other section that is also, but I find out particularly interesting on the case and the ideas of Michelle, which is there was this idea of the faculty were willing to commit and compromise with us because we do have a really commitment for broader impacts and participation, kind of like we really need to come as a community to try to tackle this. I personally, from the business administration, identified that NJIT has this institutional agility. We're nimble, and that allowed us to really adjust and tackle this thing. So we'll discuss those areas in the paper. But for the purpose of this video, I would like now to focus to the next section, which is we all experienced that, but then there was an institutional response, right? And then is when we come into play with what Michelle and her role did. So NJIT needed to do something, but then the college of the department is inside a college also came with some solutions for us. And then it came to the departments to actually kind of like try to respond to these things. So what is your reflection about the institutional response to the problem?
Yes, I mean, the institution has to also make sure the safety of the students. So when we starting to come back on, but very small number because we still have that social distancing of 6 feet and cleaning everything, wash your hands, sanitizer. So that's also one thing that we did in the institution is for our safety. So every classroom has all the sanitizer. Every classroom seats are marked, so they have distances. And we also change our period so that we have time to clean up the classroom. So these are the things that we need a little bit of adjustment because of our safety, but we manage because of safety and still learn the curriculum that they need to learn on a particular course.
Yeah, which is really important, right? It's their dimensions on this study case, right? It's not just the transition to online learning. There are also a lot of operational, real world adjustments that we just need to figure it out, right? I remember seeing some lecture classrooms, which are not too common in Latin America. Our lecture classrooms are really big open spaces in which the faculty is in like a central space. So
Yes.
there's a lot of distancing, but
Yes.
there's still a front row of students, right? So in
Mhm.
some classrooms, we needed to actually put like a plastic protector to separate the
Yes.
student
Yes.
or
Mhm.
from the teacher, right? So there were a lot of thinking,
Yes.
and again, the community came because that also include the operations department and also like the cleaning department and also facilities and administration, right? So other of the things that I found out were obviously quite important that we'll discuss in the paper is this implementation of the blended learning, right? This idea that we cannot be everything face-to-face, but also we cannot be everything online.
Mhm.
So we need
Yeah.
to find that a mix in
Balance.
between,
Yes.
right? But I would like to talk a little bit at the end of this section. We talk about there were some cultural and technological barriers. There were some issues. The technological barriers we'll know, right? But the cultural, there were some challenges. There were like some personal discomfort and personal professional issues, right? Because there's a culture shift. Like everybody moved from this new culture of like, but we need to be aware of this new norm. In your opinion, what was the strongest way that we, or like just the topic, like how do we address this cultural shift?
Um, how do we the transition? I mean, yes, and also we have to have vaccinated, but we also respect other people who doesn't believe in vaccination, so they have some exemption, but they have to be tested like weekly or periodically that they are not, they are COVID free to come
Okay,
to have that.
that's a great point,
Yes.
right? So it's like we have people that, due to their personal beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
have the freedom to
Yes.
not to want to do this, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we need to also respect that while
Yes.
still protecting the
Yes.
other
The
group of
others.
people
Yes.
that
Mm-hmm.
are in the opposite position, right? So that is like not only a full democratic, but also fully inclusive and
Mm-hmm.
equity. Every is equal for everyone, right? So there was a lot of adjustments. I remember we actually have a on campus a place where everybody can get vaccinated, and
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't easy. It took a lot
Yes.
some time until we finally get this place. So that was a new norm, right? I remember like there was like more an emergency when the military came and like
Yes.
thousands of people got vaccinated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those were like things that were beyond NJT, because the city of Newark was also super responsive about like helping us through this
Mm-hmm.
crisis, and we collaborated with them. We set up a full gym to
Yes.
allow the military to come and vaccinate us. There were like lines and there were procedures. And sure, the first days it was a little bit like we don't know what we're doing, but
Yes.
eventually, like the military will get it right. They totally get it
Mm-hmm.
right. Like there were like thousands of people being
Yes. Yes.
vaccinated. So
Yeah.
that also informed. So with that, we're going to move to our second to last section, which is the 500, is the transformation to strategic planning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that is really important of the discussion of the case with Michelle is there is a strategic planning component to this. We cannot just throw things at the
Mm-hmm.
wall, right? So can you please elaborate a little bit on like what are your ideas about this insight that we gained from the pandemic, like how we move into a better strategic or things that we
Oh.
may be doing now?
Mhm. Because of what we have now, the online learning, we still want face to face, especially in mathematics, because everyone has to be explained to the student on a face to face in a classroom. But because of this pandemic, the only thing is we don't have snow day anymore in the university.
Yes.
So we don't miss any classes anymore. Because before, when it's a snow day, we close the university, no classes. But now, because of this online learning, we all moved on to virtual.
Uh-huh.
Even admin staff
Yeah.
can work from home because there's a snowstorm. So everything goes, and I think that's the positive thing about
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
experiencing this pandemic is we don't have snow day. Everything will still go on with the class, but we'll do it online.
Yeah, and for our viewers, the one that is listening to this, in we live in New Jersey, so when it snow, it really snows. So there's days
Mm-hmm.
that you cannot even drive to work.
Mm-hmm.
And before, it was a little bit of a different cultural approach to it, right? Because some days, I remember it will be snowing and we're all
Yes.
waiting at 10 to tell us like,
Mm-hmm.
we don't need to go to work or like
Yes.
something like that,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But now, thanks to the flexibility to work from home, but also
Yes.
from teach from home. So
Mm-hmm.
that I from personal experience talking with faculty, they need to actually prepare different didactic sequence for the day, right? So they have the face-to-face, but in case I need to go to online, I also have it online. So that is this part of the blended learning, right? So now that we learn how to do that, now the faculty is prepared to easily transition. They can easily teach the class in whatever modality, depending to the needs. So that is been a positive outcome of this. I also think that the physical campus goals, like the physical safety, was something that actually got improved. Not only because we need to renew some of the facilities to adjust for the new thing, but there was this overall enhancement of the buildings, of everything, that were again more focused into technology, into we're going to need cameras, we're going to need WebEx, we're going to need audio, like how we're going to hear the students. And one thing that I observed after that is all of a sudden I've seen some of my faculty having actually not only online and face-to-face, but hybrid, in which some of his students are face-to-face and some of them are online, and they have no problem with some of the classroom to actually be able to do this hybrid modality, which is something that we never had before, which is also positive, right? Meeting the students where they are, because maybe the student has a personal thing and he cannot physically travel on campus, but he can still join the class online, right? So this flexibility is also really important.
And also, almost all our classrooms were converted into converged, like there's a overhead projector. So when you do Zoom or any WebEx, the students who are online can see what's in the screen, because it's in the computer, on a screen, on a projector. So and they have a mic and audio. We have the owl, which whoever is talk will have that face. I mean, these are all the advanced technology we have gained because of during pandemic. And most of our classes now uses Canvas, which is our method of learning that we use, that they can just go to Canvas. There are all the materials that they need or what was discussed in the classroom. So this can be their reference of, or even exercises, homeworks. They do it in Canvas. Even submitting their homework is also in Canvas. So we became more user friendly in technology.
Yeah, and this comes to like the end of the paper, and we discuss the broader implications for higher education. We have 3 sections that we invite you to read, which is basically the discussions, right? Like what were the insights that we gained that other universities can use. We also discuss the importance of integrating technology, as Michelle is discussing, into all of the different parts. And but also this component that I really like that we discuss at the end of, like, there's a need for a crisis preparedness, right? We need to be prepared because it may happen again. Whenever you are, it could be a hurricane, it could be rain, it could be snow. It doesn't have to be a pandemic. You just need to be something that disrupts your day-to-day, and then you need to be prepared. So how can we plan as administrators to invest on resiliency, right? Now, as Michelle pointed out, now we don't lose snow days. So the faculty is actually able to teach whatever classes that they can, which has the benefits of having more point contact with the student, right? So now moving to the conclusion part of the study, what will you think will be the final reference, the final conclusion that you have after going through this reflection, Michelle?
Well, as what Dr. Leon said, that we are prepared to any calamities, pandemic, because the technology is there. It's and every year, every time we move forward, innovation and technology are being upgraded. So we keep on moving. We don't just stop here. Because there's so much learning methods that we could use technology, and that's how we want to move forward in strategizing what the digital learning can give us.
Yeah. Well, with that, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you hearing and tuning to this conversation. Again, we invite you to read our paper, and thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you.